Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. Today I'm going to talk to you about another film that severely underrated that really got overlooked when it was released in theaters. And unfortunately, I did not take the time to see it in theaters, but I took the time to see it today. And finally, we're going to talk about The Night House, starring Rebecca Hall. And it's a story about a widow who digs deep um, into her late husband's past when she figures out that he left a mysterious note and certain weird descriptions in this little notebook inside their house, and it's looked like she could see some parallel reflections of her house inside her home. So it's a mystery supernatural film, and it was one where, well, the trailer looks very interesting. I gave it a look, and I really, really enjoyed it. This is a great time supernatural horror. It's more like a ghost. It's a ghost mystery to its core. It's a ghost story of Rebecca Hall. She plays this character named Beth, who just went to her husband's funeral, and she is grief struck and like on the point to where she is suffering severe depression. Her friends try to snap her out of it, try to let her know that she's cared for and she's loved, and to her point of how she deals with her coldness, she starts to drink, and soon she discovers Beth a little notepad from her husband that her husband actually designed and built the house that she currently lives in. And there were secret messages, secret drawings that, and a weird statue of a woman peers through a bunch of like sticks that was discovered not only in her home, also stuff in her home, but also an abandoned house that is near her home. So she goes out on the look, tries to investigate it, and then she also stumbles across photos and bizarre, I would say, just bizarre, things about her husband, and she finds out that her husband could be cheating. And it's actually, there's more to it than that. It deals with kind of like both of their past a little bit, and it's actually a pretty good. It was actually kind of a. It felt like a very old school like supernatural like movie, kind of like in the mid 2000s, where you don't really get those that much anymore. It felt early 2000s supernatural horror, where there's a lot of and bigotry that kind of goes along, and it's more about Beth really investigating her husband and the mysterious things that kind of go on in the film. And it's really cool. Like, as I didn't realize it was directed by this guy named David Brucker, I believe his name is. He directed one of the segments in the 2012 VHS films, and I believe it was Amateur Party. It was the one where it was a story about a group of guys going out, meet some girls at a club, and then they bring them to a hotel, and one of them is like a demon monster, demonic monster. And the what I really appreciate about this film is the depth of mystery that it kind of went into this, where it was more of a film about a character dealing with grief and is on the verge of not knowing how to handle um to deal with it. And then I liked it that she was Rebecca Hall's character, who was like really amazingness. She plays good. Like I've noticed her work. She really plays very good. Like characters that deal with aggressive trauma. She's deal with a character similar to that, or she's played a character similar to that in The Town. Christine, which is a very underrated film, and she's also played that in another film, similar to I guess the Prestige. For those who don't know, that's a Christopher Nolan film. Um, she's really good with that. She's really good with that material, and there are moments in here where you really, I believe, you feel for her character, and the more she starts to investigate her husband and the secrets that he's been living, you really, I would feel like, I think in the you really start to root for her, to kind of figure out more about what her husband's been hiding and what secrets he's been living. And then as the movie kind of goes along, you learned a certain detail about her past that could have triggered why her husband is acting the way it acts. And it's not the way that you think. It was actually surprising that some sort of little of a spoiler, which I won't go in too detail into. This movie is currently on HBO Max. That there was an entity, supernatural entity relating to her past that somehow came out and got a hold of her husband and has been trying to manipulate her husband doing certain things, but he's, I guess, steered the direction of this supernatural entity to do other things to keep uh, Rebecca Hall's character Betty safe from harm from this mysterious creature. I actually like the maze-like filming techniques that they did with this film. It felt like a horror film. It felt like if Christopher Nolan directed a horror film in the way that Christopher Nolan did with his techniques with Inception. It feels like some of the tricks with that, with like a paradox kind of like view of seeing certain things um, that played out in the film, kind of like a maze. Like the movie plays a little bit with maze reflection and like the concept of uh, kind of like the concept similar to what Inception did with the paradox scene. I thought it was a very clever horror film. I thought it was a very clever, somewhat original ghost story that you don't normally see now these days, and I highly recommend it. The ending, the way that it built up to the ending, I didn't really expect, but to its core, it's really about someone overcoming with grief and trying to find reasons to make you think a certain way about your grieving about this person, if that makes sense. But I thought it was a very phenomenal horror film. I really recommend it. Anybody who's subscribed to HBO Max, or you can rent it on YouTube, check it out. The Night House. Comment below, let me know if you have seen it, what you thought about it, and let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.